Hello and welcome to Kingdom Come Deliverance with me, Bubblebox. This is very early alpha access, 0.1, so don't expect too much, guys, okay, because this is very early alpha, gotta say that. So as you can see, I've got it on quite low settings at the moment, because I did have it on very high settings and it did lag to shit. So I've put it down to low settings and it still looks, in my opinion, really nice graphically, even at very low settings. You can see when I start to move around, it does sort of slow the frame rate down quite dramatically. There's quite a lot of lag, but you know, that's what you get with a very early alpha, as this game is. This game is not expected to be released properly until the end of next year. That's how early this is. So you can see the town that we've got in the early access, or the little village with all the buildings, and all of those buildings and the little huts and everything are enterable, and you can interact with all of the NPCs that are walking around in the village and around the village, and you can also walk in some of the countryside around the village, about as far as I am at the moment. I'm standing on top of these rocks here, just giving you a nice view. So let's get cracking and have a look at the first impressions of this game. The controls are pretty intuitive. WASDers for moving, and he actually moves very fast. This is his walking. Looks like an Olympic walker, could get a medal at the Olympics. Look at him go. And then, oh, there's an NPC over there doing a bit of fireman. I'll call them AI villagers or something like that, because not really, because they do play a really important part in this game. You can also run. You just press the shift key and you can really leg it. I mean, that is just so fast. That's incredibly fast. But look at these lovely flowers here. Got some poppies on the side of the path here. Some nice little white flowers. I'm not sure what they are. And the grass and sort of everything looks really fantastic. And there's another NPC there walking around. We'll just go across this bridge. We've got animals in the game. We've got some chickens here. They don't run away from you. They probably should start flapping their wings and running away from you. I'm not sure whether that will be incorporated into the game. But the water here, very nice looking. Looks fantastic. We're coming down from a little stream up there into the pond, and then goes underneath the bridge and down into a little stream and down into the distance there. And you can actually walk along there and in the pond and in the water as well, if the fancy takes you to do that. Now there is an inventory in the game, of course. Press I to get your inventory up. There's your character here on the right. He's got a few little bits and pieces. He's got some clothing on. You can't shift or drag things around on and off of him at the moment. He hasn't got any arms, any hands or lower legs either, really, at the moment. But at the bottom right you can see all of his statistics. I don't know whether they're going to have a she person, a she knight and a he knight as well. I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll won't be discriminative, although they might be. I'm not sure. But you've got health, stamina, exhaustion, hunger, repute. That's your reputation, and that can go, I believe, up or down depending on how you behave in the game and how you interact with the other characters within the game as well. Can have a big effect on your reputation. We've got strength, agility, vitality, charisma. My charisma's only 1. I hope that doesn't say anything about me playing this particular character, that my charisma's only 1. Visibility and stuff like that. And then on the left, at the top, you've got these kind of coat of arms which signify different parts of the game. And at the moment we can get into the inventory, we can get into the quest log, because there is a quest in the early alpha, and I'll be doing that in the next video probably. There's an archery quest. And then we've got player, horse, map, crafting. None of that in the game yet. And then we've got down here, we've got what's active, we've got main, side, done, activities and achievements. That's in the quest log. In the inventory we've got everything in your inventory. We've got weapons, no armor. Oh, we've got some armor. Well, the food kind of, this clothing kind of acts as semi-armor, I suppose. Not really armor, is it? But I suppose it gives you a little bit of protection. Food, we haven't got any food yet. We haven't got any quest items. We haven't got pretty much anything yet. But that's the inventory, very briefly. So back into the town, we'll have a look at you can see there's NPCs walking around all over the place. Now the interesting thing about these guys is they've all got their own little characters, and they've all got their own little ways of working. I think, is that the smithy? No, the smithy's already in there. I can hear him working. There's the smithy. and they've all got their own kind of day-night cycles. So they'll go to work, they'll go home, they might visit the tavern, they might go for a little prayer at one of the prayer places that are scattered around on the map, and they're generally, they'll, I believe, tend to do the same thing, and you can get to know the characters and interact with them. Sometimes I believe they do sometimes change the way in which they do things depending on how they interact again with you and the other characters. And he's got a lot of swords in there he's working out. So you can interact with the characters, of course. You can go up to them and you can press E to talk to them, and you can ask them questions, and they may ask you questions as well, and you can kind of gauge the type of character they are by the answers they give them and how they are with you when they answer their questions and stuff like that, and the way in which you answer your question, how long it takes you to answer your question, and the answers that you give to the questions and the questions you ask will all impact on the type of character that you're going to become in this game, and also the way in which the NPCs view you as a character. Now you can also see this interesting thing here, this wheel, and part of the game is the crafting menu, and it's got a really innovative kind of crafting system in this game that is incorporated, or is going to be incorporated. And instead of having to pick up objects and kind of put them into boxes to make a bow or make a hatchet or make a shield, you actually have to do mini kind of games to enable you to craft things. So on this particular piece of equipment, if I press E, if we had a sword, and Smithy's not going to give us a sword unfortunately in this early alpha, but if we had one, we could then sort of sharpen it on this machine here, this wheel, and the better you are at doing the mini game, the sharper your weapon will become, I guess, and that goes with lots of the other things as well that are going to be incorporated into the game, into the crafting system as mini games. So it involves a little bit of skill rather than just collecting stuff and putting it together in the right order. There's another little area I wanted to show you over here. This is the archery range, part of the early alpha as well. This is one of the quests I'm going to do in the second video probably. So I'm going to have to come here and try and find out how to do archery, and that must be the archery master that we'll have to interact with when we come over to do our archery quest in the next video. So the houses that you saw at the beginning of the video are all these things, and you can enter all of these houses, all of these dwellings can be entered. So we go around here. First of all, there's a nice little part around here where the lady's doing a bit of work there, pouring some ale for these gentlemen that are sitting down here having a bit of a midday booze up by the looks of it. They're not very chatty. Nice beard, by the way. But you can enter all these buildings. Well, I'll go over into this one. Just press E to interact with the doors, enter the doors, or hopefully, yep, there we go. It's quite dark in here. There's something cooking on the stove there. Nice bit of stew or something. Very nice. Come back and have a bit of that later on. And all very laggy. And you can also enter the building, to enter the rooms that are within the buildings as well. And there are things you can sort of pick up in some of these places. You can see the graphics are really, really nice. The fruit and everything looks really, really fantastic. Those apples look almost good enough to eat in real life. There's nothing, oh yes, there is something I can pick up there. You can see it's actually just an object. It doesn't really mean anything at the moment. It's just got no name or anything, but you can pick things up and put them into your inventory. And there are various things in some of the houses that you can pick up, and some of these things that you have to pick up are part of the quest. So you will get a quest and you'll have to interact with the NPCs, and you'll have to go and find things and take them to various NPCs and do certain things or craft certain things and stuff like that as part of the quest. So it sort of seems a really, really interesting way of doing things. So in the last few minutes of this video, our last couple of minutes, I thought I'd give you some general information about the game Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's an open world first person game set in the 15th century Europe. It's promising to be as true to life as any computer RPG can be, and does not feature any magic or fantasy elements, which will make this a nice change as far as I'm concerned. Warhorse, the company that make the game, is a privateer company and is funded via a Kickstarter campaign campaign with private backers. The devs have a good credentials, having worked on big game titles including Mafia, Mafia 2 and Arma, and it is now pretty much fully funded, so it will go all the way to release. On release, it will be a single player story following the events of a king who's been kidnapped by his brother and of a young blacksmith, the main character played by you, the player. It's actually going to be released in 3 acts. The first act will be the single player event, and then there'll be Act 2 and Act 3, which will add new maps, new gameplay, etc. Possibly, and I only say this, possibly multiplayer, but there's absolutely nothing definite about that as yet, apparently. Quests, crafting, getting money in the form of mini games, skills, character type, and of course combat will affect the way the story proceeds as well. So what about the combat system, I hear you cry, which what many players are really interested in? Well, first person combat is being developed with the help of medieval combat experts and the company's own motion capture studio to make the combat as accurate to 15th century fighting as possible. Now, depending on your playstyle, you'll be able to choose from weapon classes including crossbows, short swords, long swords, axes, maces, hammers, shields, spikes and bows. Horses and horse combat will also be introduced into the game at some point. So that's about it, guys. I hope you have some interest in this game, or at least I'm going to be bringing the updates as they come in, and I'll be doing the archery quest hopefully in the next video. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, please do comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.